And that, Giant Cacophony tells you, you're back with the Power of Three podcast as we continue our countdown to Christmas. And wow, it's December the 23rd as this episode drops. Not long to go. I'm Kenny Smith. I hope you've all been good people out there and Santa is getting ready to deliver you lots of lovely presents, including possibly what we're about to discuss today. And if Santa doesn't bring it to you, then you could order a digital copy in time for Christmas. Yes, today we're looking at the 80th release in the Black Archive series, which of course is published by our friends in Edinburgh at Obverse Books. So yes, keeping the Scottish end up, sir. The latest release is Mawdryn Undead, and this has been written by Kara Dennison and has just been released. So the cover has got the usual space swirly design. Popping over to the back, it tells us, "Spare me the endurance of endless time, the agony of perpetuity." That is not in any way melodramatic whatsoever. Mawdryn Undead 1983 was an ambitious serial, weaving familiar elements of Doctor Who together with myth and legend. Balancing two brigadiers, a murderous new companion, and a crew of hubristic mutated scientists is no mean feat, resulting in divided opinion across viewers. 4 decades on, Kara Dennison re-examines the first instalment in the Black Guardian trilogy as a story potentially before its time. What makes a, inverted commas, good companion? What truly makes immortality a curse? And what does it mean to trust a hero who will never stop changing? It's 83 pages long, and as I said, it has just been released. So, why don't I stop talking and bring in our guest? It's the author of the latest publication.
I am Kara Dennison. I've written 2 books for the Black Archive range, one on Heaven Sent and most recently one on Mawdryn Undead. And I've also done a few other books for Obverse on the side.
Fantastic. So could you maybe tell us how you first got involved with Obverse?
I first got involved with Obverse about 10 years ago. There was a call for short stories for the perennial Miss Wildtime, which Dale Smith edited. And at the time I was working at a Doctor Who convention and I thought that would be a fun tie-in. Hey, everyone pitched to this book. I'll show you how easy it is. And I told myself I was not invested, even though I was a big Iris Wildtime fan. And I set off a sort of Blink-ish pitch where Panda was in it, Iris was barely in it, and it was a new character. And I thought, there's no way I'm getting in. I've never done anything major before. And Dale Smith and then Stuart Douglas called me up and brought me on board, and they've kind of kept me around ever since.
It's not bad company to keep. The pair of them are quite entertaining gentlemen.
Oh, they're lovely. I finally got to meet Stuart in person after a decade at Hooverville this summer, and he is as lovely in person as he is online.
Yeah, and I think I just missed you. I think every time I came to the table, you'd just been and gone.
Yeah, Paul Mars was there pretty regularly, but I was in and out, seeing friends, going to things. But
yeah, such is the way. Such is the way.
That's conventions.
Exactly. And of course, since then, you've sort of had a bit of editorial responsibility as well.
Yes, they first brought me on to do editorial work for Ice Hot, which was the second Paradise Towers book. And that was kind of I think all but one story had been brought on. So everything had been chosen except for the one, and they brought me on to put everything together. That was a lot of fun, and as I was in the middle of that, Stuart said, we're looking for one more editor for the Black Archive range in the new year, which is 2025 going forward. And I said, yeah, I'd love to, because at the time I'd just finished the one, but I love the Black Archive as a series, and I had recently taken on more editorial work for one of my day jobs, and I felt more confident in working back and forth with people. So I thought, not only do I want to do it, but I think now more than a few years prior, I might have the skill set to actually do that.
So you've mentioned, of course, you've done one previously, but now your second one is out and looking at Mawdryn Undead, which is, well, as you explained in your intro, it's not the most obvious story to take a look at, is it?
No, it's really not. When the series was first coming together, when the Black Archive was first coming together, they had said, we think maybe perhaps a quarter of televised Doctor Who stories have something you can say about them, and that's been consistently proven wrong. And when I went back to watch it, because I have BritBox, I can just go back and watch them as I please for now. And I was rewatching it and I thought, my gosh, this feels weirdly contemporary. And there's so many little elements of it that I'm curious about. And that's the main reason I research things, is because I have questions. And I thought, great way to answer these questions is to have to sit down and write a book about it.
So what had you learned from your previous experience of writing one of these that you took into this one?
Well, the main thing is, I legitimately, when I first started, I didn't think that I had what it took to do a Black Archive. Stuart came to me said, have you considered pitching one? And at the time I said, best I can do is a Jungian analysis of Heaven Sent. And he said, that sounds perfect. And I had thought that when they said critical, it needed to be a lot more, I don't know, something that wasn't quite my thing, but Black Archive has a lot of space for every type of analysis, depending on the author, depending on the story. The main thing I learned, both from writing in one and from reading and editing many more, is the main thing to do is lean into what you know and what interests you about the episode, and that's when the really good insights are going to come out. Obviously, stretch beyond the things you know, because that's what research is all about. But if you start with those little points of questions, why is this like this? Is this character really as good / bad as people think? Why does this part resonate with me so much? Then you're going to get something that is both interesting to others and also very unique in your voice, which I think is my favorite thing about the archive, is every book is different.
Yeah, different tones, different intellectual levels, and just different themes being explored each time. So yeah, always enjoy that. Mm-hmm. Then of course you kick off here with the Turlough Dilemma, and I was greatly pleased to see a reference to Tony Attwood's seminal work, Turlough and the Earthlink Dilemma, in there.
Oh yes. Yeah, Turlough was kind of one of the kickoffs for writing this in the first place, because people have very mixed opinions about him. I personally have always found him very interesting. I love kind of gray characters, and I thought his intro was fantastic. And the more I look around online, the more I see that Turlough has a lot of fans. I'm sure Big Finish had a lot to do with that. But it sort of made me think, and especially as I was reapproaching this book recently, and we had Mel come back, and I talk about this in the book, was the issue with Turlough what he was as a character, how he was being utilized. So I took a lot of time to talk about what's a companion, what's a good companion, air quotes, and what was being done with him, and going back and reading about the way companions were considered at the time was very eye-opening. And then, again, juxtapose that alongside getting Bonnie Langford back in the recent seasons. Interestingly, this book was supposed to come out a few years ago. I took a break from writing for a couple of years. And there are so many aspects of the book that would not have worked as well a couple of years ago, because I wouldn't have had the references I did. And getting to see a companion brought back long form and given everything she was supposed to have really gave me context for what I wanted to say in this chapter.
Yeah. And of course, talking of friends, companions, we get the second section, some shocking experience, with a look at the return of Nicholas Courtney as the Brig.
This was a really interesting chapter for me, because it's another one that I could not have written a few years ago. The Black Archive is supposed to be, we're supposed to take stuff that we're aware of, stuff that we have experience with. That's what makes it better, because we like to have people, if you know about a certain point in history, writing about a historical set then will be good. At the time, I did not know this was going to be a thing, but in recent years, I got, as I say in the book, a CPTSD diagnosis. And my rewatch of Mawdryn Undead was extremely different. And it was a great opportunity to go into both, how does this look like PTSD? Why does it look like PTSD? And then while we're here, let's talk about mental health depictions in sci-fi, because sometimes they're not great. The second half of the chapter kind of goes into, in the Forest of the Night. I hate to speak ill of a 12th Doctor episode, but
yeah. I think it's interesting looking at the whole issue of trauma, PTSD, and just mental health in there, because it's not the story that sort of would leap out at you, but it's only when you watch it and think about it, is very much is there front and center.
Yeah, and again, like watching it several years ago, it was interesting. Watching it, rewatching it, refreshing my memory, going through that, sitting down, taking the notes, watching it until it's in my brain, and seeing how the Brigadier reacted to very specific things. I went, I get that. And I know that it's, it's Blinovitch, obviously. It's something that can be solved very quickly in the course of a serial. But the signs and the elements of it are so well done. And as I mentioned in the book, this was happening within a handful of years of PTSD being acknowledged as something that could happen, not just to people who have been in war. And so I do a little bit of a history of PTSD. How would you even be diagnosed? How did the British Army look at it? And also mention of To Serve Them All My Days, which came out 2 years prior and had an awfully similar story to the Brigadiers.
It certainly did. I remember it well from my youth.
Yeah.
One of those ones with, that's with a young Matthew Waterhouse, isn't it, in there? Yeah,
another interesting tie.
Yeah. Then, of course, you just mentioned our Lord Capaldi, may his name be praised, and that's a great way to kick off the next chapter, Regeneration Crisis, talking about how Peter Capaldi had reassured a young autistic fan that, don't worry, I'm still the same man.
Yeah. Regeneration is such a big thing in Mawdryn Undead, and having it used as a point of tension and of fear was very interesting to me, because regeneration, as I say in this chapter, is a point of fear for us. Even as grown-ups, we get a little worried, especially if it's a favorite doctor. We go, who's that going to be next? Is it someone we're going to like? Is it going to work well? Funnily enough, watching the most recent season completely changed part of the chapter. I was watching Reality War with this unearned confidence that there was not going to be a regeneration, because, as I had said in the book, all departures since Hartnell had been announced in the press. And so my housemate is sitting there panicking, and I'm like, shoot, he's not going anywhere. I've just written a chapter about how we have the reassurance, and then bam, it happens. And I went, I got to rewrite something. I just got up and left. But I thought it was an interesting way to explore that fear of regeneration, because we on the outside, even if it's not announced, it's not quite the same as a companion who's there, and this is someone that they've trusted. And what happened? For all they know, it could have been a Mawdryn thing. He could regenerate like that. And what are they going to do if that happens? So it's an examination of regeneration as that sort of comeback wrong thing, which we also see a bit with Clara and the 12th Doctor in Deep Breath. That sort of light examination of something's gone wrong. But exploring that trope, exploring how Doctor Who touches on it, and exploring how we as the fans interact with it kind of normally at a safe distance.
Yeah, it was a surprise for quite a lot, I think. So you wouldn't be the only one, but yeah. But not many of us would have to go and sit and go, I need to rewrite something, all pants, or words to that effect.
There were lots of things to talk about, but bless my housemate for being patient. Instead of immediately going into theorizing and questions, I just walked off to the office.
Yeah, I think it's a fascinating read, in the fact that you bring up, Lazarus in there as well. We're not talking about Stephen Greenhorn's professor character. We're talking about the biblical one here as well. To be able to bring that element in, I think that's that sort of, it's one of those ones you think, of course it's so obvious, but looking at it in the sci-fi context, it's just regenerating, but keeping on going.
Yeah, we're so used to it because it's a key aspect of the show, and as much as we fear it, I think we also look forward to it because it's something fresh and it's something new. But the episode of Mawdryn itself really kind of puts that into, kind of subverts that and makes you. Now, granted, there are a lot of reasons why Mawdryn's didn't work out, but yeah, it's a scary thing when you think about it.
Yeah, you never know who's coming next. So, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Next section, our Endless Voyage, which looks at myths and legend and tapping into, starting off with the obvious one of the Flying Dutchman, which of course Christopher Bullis would later tap into for his 8th Doctor novel, Vanderdecken's Children, as recently featured in this podcast as well. So yeah, it's I love the whole Flying Dutchman thing. It's a great story, and not just in a SpongeBob context.
But chiefly in a SpongeBob context.
Well, yes, that's where I'm mostly familiar with him, apart from the opera.
I love the internet now. Well, sometimes I love the internet nowadays, but I do love the internet nowadays because I could actually look up a recording of the exact version of the opera that inspired this episode. And it didn't necessarily go into the research because you can just read or look it up, but I was just curious, what is it that a writer goes away and hears and witnesses to make them come back to that? And there are so many Flying Dutchman adjacent stories. I did not even hit upon them all. I hit upon what I could. There are a lot of Canadian ones I noticed was really interesting, sort of more in my part of the world. The thing that was most interesting to me, and this does not necessarily tie directly to the story, but you always find fun stuff when you're digging around, is that the Flying Dutchman was probably not Dutch. Because why would you call them the Dutchman if it was your, that would be like me coming up to you and saying, you got to see this weird American I met. Like, you wouldn't. So that's one of those great deep dives where you're in the middle of talking about something else and you just discover these neat little details. Yeah, there's so much. I was also very interested in how much Mawdryn Undead mirrored the Flying Dutchman, that version specifically, that opera, numerically. Like, using the same numbers expanded, it's a very clear parallel. It's not just, ghost ship. It's, we're counting the numbers, we're counting how close can they get to a planet. So I was delighted to see just how close the story ran. I
also liked the parallel with Prometheus as well, with, of course, the fire being regeneration. I thought that was a lovely one. Again, it's one of the ones that's like, of course it is, but again, just it's only, I suppose, when you're applying your brain to it to put it all together, it's like, there it is.
Yeah, and that's what I feel it's fun when you're writing an archive, but it's fun when you're reading one, because I just finished editing the one after mine, which I believe is the Ark. And there are things that Philip Purser-Hallett brings up where I'm just like, yes, of course. But until someone says it and puts the footnotes, that's what's so wonderful about these. But yeah, Prometheus, because the Time Lords do style themselves as gods, don't they?
Oh, very much so.
I mean, they kind of are, but also more in the Greek sense than the messy sense.
Definitely. And then we get Life Without End or Form, where you take a look at immortality, which it neatly follows on from that previous section. It's fascinating to sort of as you say, is it a curse or a blessing?
Yeah. That's one where I felt, when I looked at the episode, I noticed, and I bring this up in the chapter, as much as the writer is saying, it's a curse, I specifically wanted to talk about how this is a curse. That fascinates me. But then the upshot of the second to last episode is the Doctor losing his effective immortality. And so literally in 2 lines, you're saying immortality is terrible, but also losing immortality is terrible. And I went, all right, let's sit down with that. Obviously, as I say, we're tuning in to see the Doctor every week. So if the Doctor did die, that'd be pretty terrible. We wouldn't have a show to watch anymore. But there's been a lot said about that topic. I went into Tolkien, obviously his letters, because he talks about mortality and immortality both being curses depending on what you do and don't get to do. And I got to go a little into my anime side of things, because there is a wonderful recent series, Frieren Beyond Journey's End. Even if you don't watch anime, I recommend giving it a look, because it is literally about this. It is literally about, is immortality a curse? If so, what about it is a curse?
Yeah. I'm not particularly a big anime watcher, but I do enjoy the Seven Deadly Sins, which has got, I suppose there would be some elements of the immortality in there as well, for Meliodas being trapped in a young boy's body forever.
Yeah, speaking of forever, that show's been running for a while.
Yeah.
It's, yeah.
I like Diane. She's very cool. Anyway, this is not the Diane podcast. The next chapter, the penultimate one, very much in the present, it puts this story into context and how it compares with the 21st century version of the show and its influences and how it pulls with two stories taking place simultaneously. Yeah,
one of my initial questions about Mawdryn Undead, one of the reasons I wanted to write the book and answer questions for myself was, why does this feel so contemporary? Why does this feel like, in a way, apart from the obvious things like multiple parts, why does it feel like I'm watching a more modern story? And a big part of it is the use of timelines, the use of how it lays these stories over top of each other. And that's something that I think we're a lot more used to seeing in contemporary Who, especially with things like Blink, things like Girl in the Fireplace, and how these stories kind of play alongside each other in parallel. And it's something that we hadn't technically seen. I think I point that technicality out in the chapter, that there was like one timeline on Gallifrey in one. It's like we never know where Gallifrey is on the timeline, so it doesn't technically count. So this was kind of a new way of telling a story using the Brigadier's loss of memory as pacing, and kind of exploring how the story plays out in a way that a modern audience might be more accustomed to. Having a housemate who onboarded with the 10th Doctor, I get to see a lot more of this kind of thing, because I did not give the warning, if you come live with me, you're going to be watching so much Doctor Who, because I think it's kind of a given. But having someone who's not used to seeing older episodes and then sitting down and going, well, I'm watching this, so you can if you want to, or Tales of the TARDIS, if you want to see what these characters get up to. And so I have become very interested, especially recently, in how new fans interface or can interface with the older show, especially with the more recent seasons. So it felt like a very good time to explore that.
Very much so. And you also touch on that in the final section, the first question, which is your summary of it all. But we're not going to get you to talk about that one, because if people want to know the summing up, buy the bloomin' publication. So
please buy the book.
But I think it comes across as being a real labour of love with, again, looking through the bibliography. Anyone who does a Black Archive has so many sources to cite at the end.
I was talking with friends about, this is a very weird bibliography because it cites Tolkien and Top Gear and just all across the board. Mine's not even the biggest bibliography. I've edited some that are just pages and pages and pages of interviews and amazing sources that I might not even have heard of otherwise. But it's so much fun to take this love of a show and insights on a very specific episode that I'm pretty sure no one thought anyone was going to sit and write a book about. I'm pretty sure Mawdryn Undead aired and they thought, well, that's that. As I say in the book, we were just coming into home video releases. Before then, the only way you were going to rewatch these is if you taped them yourself. So I think it's great to give these episodes that kind of care and thought. And as divisive as this story can be, because, some people love Turlough, some people don't love Turlough, some people think the whole Blinovich thing is weird.
I love him.
I personally, me too. I adore Turlough. And like I said, Big Finish helped a lot with kind of giving him the time he deserved. Because, like he himself said, he'd be kidnapped in episode 1 and they'd find him in episode 4, kind of thing. But
Yeah.
it's an episode I have so much love for so many reasons, because I also love the Brigadier. And I loved him getting this very interesting story. Nick Courtney playing 2 very different versions of the same man beautifully in both.
Definitely does.
And, oh gosh. And so getting to put all this to paper, and hopefully people who maybe haven't seen the episode, who are newer fans, they might look at this and go, oh, I should give this a try. Or people who saw it once and didn't think of it again might give it another go. And that's a big part of why I do this.
Yeah.
That and an excuse to rewatch episodes over and over again.
Yeah, any excuse.
Oh, yeah.
I'm getting a new telly. Well, I've got a new telly, which I've not installed yet, 65-inch TV.
Ooh.
So I cannot wait to put some classic stuff on and just sit back, feet up, watch that, and be watching me back as well. Huge eye in the room, be great. Cannot wait for it to be set up. I'm waiting on the table to arrive so I can place it on top of that.
Have you picked what's going to be first on the big screen?
Well, I'll need to watch Jaws first, because that's like a family favourite film.
Of course.
But after that, anything is game. Possibly The Seeds of Doom, just to finish off my season 13 Blu-ray watching. So
that'll be
it may well be that.
Very nice.
But we shall see. We shall see. Now, Kara, tell us where people can find you on social media if they're looking for more info and want to follow you.
Well, I have a blog at karadennison.com, and all my social medias are linked there. I try to talk about if I have anything especially new coming up on there, but I also do book reviews and occasional just articles on whatever. At the moment, I'm running through reviews of the shows I saw while I was over in London for the holidays. So something a little different, but I'm also over on crunchyroll.com in the newsroom, letting people know what's happening in the coming seasons. And those are the main places to find me. You'll also see me around Obverse Books. I have a few things coming out from them in the future. I'm just not sure when, but I know that they're there, and I know that they're in the shoots, and I am looking forward to talking about them.
Fantastic. Well, fingers crossed you'll be coming back on here to have another wee blether about it, as we say in Scotland.
I would love to.
Fantastic. Kara, thank you so much, and have a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, the lot.
And a Merry Christmas to all of you at home.
So, if that's whetted your appetite, you can get a copy in digital or physical form if you go to https://obverseBooks.co.uk/product/80-Mawdryn-Undead/. Then you can choose which edition you want, print or digital. Looking ahead to 2026, we'll be featuring several more releases from the Black Archive, and looking ahead, here's what they've got scheduled. February 26 has got The Ark from Philip Purser Hallard. April 26 has got The Daleks by Oliver Wake, a name you might recognise from fanzines or Doctor Who magazine. In June, it's The Web Planet from Bridget Cherry. I remember her name from old fanzines in Glasgow many years ago. August has The Invasion from Steve Hatcher, the brilliant Steve Hatcher, who organises Hooverville and many such other events. And then in October, it's Frontios from Paul Driscoll. So that'll be out not too long after the Blu-ray's been released. Well, at least later in the same year at least. And of interest, March 2026 is the 10th anniversary of the archive. Yeah, that's quite incredible. Anyway, time's up. If you've enjoyed today's episode, feel free to give us a follow on social media. We're at Power of 3 Pod on Twitter, that's with a number 3, at Finished Zine on Blue Sky, and we have our Facebook group as well. So if you're a fan of Mawdryn Undead, pop in there and comment on the link to this episode. Or if you're not a fan, well, tell us why you don't like it. Always interested to know what fans think. Time is up, and as ever, we're going to play out the track. And I actually had to Google this one. I thought, want to get something with the word undead in the title. I originally thought about I Am the Resurrection, but it's the wrong time of year for that, if you're talking about Christmas. So let's go with a Japanese track from the band Yoasobi, and this track is Undead, the English version, and it sounds like something out of an anime cartoon, like the 7 Deadly Sins. Yeah, I know, It's the only anime I've ever seen all the way through apart from Death Note. Bye bye.
Somehow feeling like there's a fight within and it's been going on so long. I don't feel it, don't even wanna try. That's pushing on me, on me. And those figures of the old transparent ghosts over my route. That childish and painful memories have the deepest roots. Silent, no way to be seen. When they're there, I don't need. They all see the me of the past. They're looking at me now. Now I'm this little I can't erase. And it turns to complex. It's almost like something's possessed in me. It is something tied around and it won't loosen its bounds. That's all I used to be before. I'm still alive. Time is a chain of your own path. To be alive is to always embrace your inner changing time. Don't settle for unhappiness. Don't be complacent in distress. Not even try to seize the joy and be happy. You can't run. All this world